It's time for the Average Pros Fantasy Football Podcast, featuring Jonathan Rates, Justin Rates, Alex Huff, and Braden Crow.
Well, what is up, and welcome back to another gonna be fantastic episode of the Average Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. We're giving you some clear, concise, and competitive analysis specific to some rookie draft stuff. And so really excited to dive in. It's Jonathan, it's Justin, it's Braden. Alex got the night off tonight. And so just the three of us going to dive in and really just unpack some of the draft implications specific to the rookies. So just going to kind of give an overview of how this is going to work. And then I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop talking and we're going to start drafting. So starting this draft, Justin's going to kick it off, and then it's going to go Jonathan and then Braden, and then we're just going to keep in that order. It's going to be a linear 12-team draft, and we've just got kind of the Sleeper mock draft. Quick plug, not a sponsor, but Sleeper. If you're not using Sleeper, use Sleeper. If you're a true fantasy football player, it's the only way to go. Not paid, not promoted, but hey, Sleeper, if you want to sponsor the podcast, follow us on the socials. So done with that plug. We're going to get started, and we're just going to go manual, so there's no time limit, and talk through just some of these picks. So Justin, Braden, y'all ready to go?
Let's do this.
Also, how are you guys doing after the draft? Like, y'all good? I should probably check in on my co-podcast mates.
Yeah, I noticed you don't really ask that anymore when we start the episodes. I'm like, he doesn't care about us as people anymore.
We're on a clear, concise, and competitive time crunch, my man.
That's fair.
Braden, what about you?
I am excited. As a Cowboys fan, I'm not super pumped about our draft, but we're about to jump into a lot of fun landing spots for these rookies, and for that, I am excited.
Sweet. Well, Justin, I don't think there's going to be much deliberating here at the 101 with some of your biases. Did I say biases? I meant, expertise. So let's go ahead and who are you taking with the 101 in the rookie draft? And I think it's all really a consensus pick at this point.
No, I'm gonna take a minute here to think about it. No, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he's immediately the wide receiver one for the Cardinals now. So that's who I'm taking in my rookie drafts that I'll be doing. So, yep, Marvin Harrison Jr. Can put it on the board.
Put it on the board. I guess I can do that here. Braden, or do you have to do that?
Let me see.
Pause 10 seconds for station identification.
Oh, there we go.
So
now it's letting me do it. So I'll go ahead and send it.
Braden, you'll probably have to automatically. You'll have to do the other ones though, I think.
All right, there we go.
There we go. Okay, on the clock here with Neighbors at the top. I am going to go with Neighbors as much as I want to deliberate with Rome Odunze. Man, I think Neighbors is still the talent there, and I think if Daniel Jones isn't cutting it, they'll go to Drew Lock, or heck, they'll go get a Tom Brady. I don't know. They'll find somebody that can get Neighbors the ball, and he's the clear-cut number one in that offense. He's just going to win out talent-wise, and highest LSU receiver drafted since I think Odell Beckham, and that's the last first-round receiver that the Giants took. So I like Neighbors here. I'm going Neighbors. Any SD? What's the word?
Objections?
Objections, I guess, but there's a term. Anyway.
My only objection
dissenting views.
my only objection is I'm pretty sure Jamar Chase was drafted higher than Neighbors, and he went to LSU. But
I meant for the Giants. I
okay.
didn't probably clarify that, but in my brain, that's what I said. You're supposed to know what I'm thinking, dude.
The highest drafted LSU wide receiver since Odell by the New York Giants. Oh, okay, now that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I like Neighbors a lot. I did a rookie draft this past weekend where he was not taken at the 102. He was taken at the 103, and I had the 103, and I was thrilled. And so the situation is obviously scary just because the Giants have not been great, but he is for sure a playmaker, and he should be drafted as such. So I like that pick. I am on the clock. And it's not super flashy. If it was redraft, I wouldn't be really interested. But with it being dynasty, I'm going to take Rome Odunze here, and I am just super excited for. Hold on, wait.
Ruh-roh.
Did it? It did the thing.
Did the autos.
Oh, see, I'm not. You got to man it. You get the joy, man. Now, anybody that's listened to our other mock drafts, whenever there's this awkward, like, by Jonathan, this is why, because trying to do sleeper on the go. There we
Using
go.
those commish powers early and
Using it
often.
early and often. Just get you a commission that likes to use powers,
There we go.
I will say, for clarity's sake, you made a great point about redraft there with Roma Dunze. And I think that just for those that you don't know, a rookie draft typically pertains to dynasty leagues. Also, another plug, if you're not in a dynasty league, try it out this year. Super fun. Really want to try and get some guys that are going to stick to it because that's what makes it most fun. But for those that may be getting into the fantasy realm or aren't familiar with dynasty, that's what the rookie draft is. I know most of our listeners know that, but for those that don't. All right, Justin, back on the clock at the 104. Wow, wouldn't that be nice if you're picking at the 101 and 104?
Oh man, that would be a dream. Yeah. So you got sleeper here suggesting Williams as the fourth best option. I think I know where y'all's head's at as far as taking him right here. I mean, we're pretty in agreement that wide receivers carry the most value. Might be a little too early still to take him, but even besides that fact, I think I would still skip over him. I'm the lowest on him of the podcast, so that might play into it. But
him being Caleb Williams,
Caleb Williams, correct. I know y'all aren't super high on Coleman, and honestly, pre-draft, I didn't rank him that high. But wait. No, sorry. Was I being super confusing there? I'm not going with Caleb Williams here.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. I'm going with Keon. I'm going with Keon Coleman. I'll just say that. You can put the pick up there and then I'll tell you why.
Oh my Lord.
Because a reach. Oh my gosh, stop right there. He's going to an offense where you got Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, names like that he's going to be vying for.
And Mecole Hardman went in the second round a few years ago, and we were all super excited about him. And look at how that turned out.
Yeah, well, hey, I can be wrong here. I've already got Marvin Harrison, although I can't look at it that way. This wouldn't actually be my team, but
you got Marvin Harrison. Doesn't matter who you pick. You need Troy Franklin.
Hey, I'm sticking to it. I think Coleman got a huge bump going to the Bills when he did. So,
great.
Give a quick 15 to 20 second of why he's wrong, and then I'll be the mediator.
No, I mean, Keon Coleman with his leaning spot is exciting. I mean, there's definitely room for there to be a alpha wide receiver. The worry with Coleman is he had a really bad combine, and he never really was able to separate at the college level. He was definitely a jump ball guy. And so, you think about names like Quentin Johnston, or you think about names like who was the guy that played on the Bills and the Panthers? Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah. I mean, it's like he had his moment. He had his moment in the limelight, but I just don't know if Keon Coleman's going to be a name we talk about like we do with other elite wide receivers like AJ Brown or CeeDee Lamb or anything like that. So
at the 105, I'm going to take Caleb Williams. Just kind of.
Are you sure? I'm gonna put him.
You go ahead and put him in there. I will say, going back to Justin's pick real quick, if you have a quarterback, a pretty solid quarterback stable, you have a Patrick Mahomes with a younger guy maybe from last couple years, a CJ Stroud, like you have a couple guys that are really talented. You probably don't need Caleb Williams in that rookie pick. So if you can't trade it, maybe you do go for the upside of Coleman, because I think to your point, Braden, what you said was the range of outcomes are either really, really good or really, really bad. And that was Kelvin Benjamin before he got hurt. He had some really good, promising years, and then fell off very quickly. And I say years, probably year is the better term there, but nonetheless, I digress. I'm going Caleb Williams with 105. As much as I really am enticed by Jaden Daniels here, I really think you could go either one, but the little bit safer pick, just because the weapons around him, would be Caleb Williams. So that's where I'm going with this pick.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind Caleb Williams here. Honestly, I'm just surprised with the Keon Coleman pick. There was like 5 or 6 other rookies I'd pick, maybe like 7 or 8 rookies I'd pick before Keon Coleman.
Hey, I stay surprising you. What can I say?
And I guess the NFL thought the same thing. There was like 8 other wide receivers that went before him, but I digress.
He's blinded by Xavier Worthy.
I am going to take Brock Bowers here.
Nice.
Because he is just a beast and like walked onto Georgia's campus and immediately led the wide receiver room, like led the wide receivers as a tight end. So his freshman year, maybe it was his sophomore year, that team had A.D. Mitchell, Brock Bowers, Jermaine Burton, and Lad McConkey.
Yeah.
And Bowers was the only one who had 1,000 yards. And so I get that he's a tight end, and I get that there's time for that to ramp up or whatever, but it just seems like Bowers is built different. And, like with all of these receivers besides the top three, I feel like we're throwing darts anyway. So Worthy was definitely a thought here, but I can't pass up Bowers at the 106.
Yeah, I love that pick. Justin, before you weigh in kind of on the 107 there, all I'll say is if anybody's trying to compare Kyle Pitts' draft value to Brock Bowers, it's not apples to apples because Brock Bowers is going to be able to play 3 downs. If you look at his college tape, he blocks, he comes off the end line, whereas Kyle Pitts is more of that outset kind of wide receiver hybrid. So you're going to be able to disguise Bowers and really eat up that middle of the field. So if Aiden McConnell, if Gardner Minshew, just a plug here, sleeper and redraft. You got Jacoby Myers, you got Devontae, obviously, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. You've also got Michael Gallup that just got signed if he can stay healthy. So if Gardner Minshew starts, he may not be a bad streaming option those first couple weeks if you're quarterback needy. But we'll get to that in later podcasts. Justin, who are you taking at 107?
So is it too early here to take Braylon Allen?
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding.
It was for the NFL, but I guess you can do whatever you want. You have
Sleeper's got him kind of high. So
he does. They do. They have him over Jonathan Brooks. But no, if y'all listened to our last episode, I'm definitely the highest on Braylon Allen. Put him as the RB1 of this class. So landing spot kind of hurt that. But so yeah, I'm looking here. I'm not taking Blake Corum here, not taking Trey Benson yet. Man, Adonai Mitchell, that was hard to see because I had him over both Franklin and Worthy pre-draft, and then he just fell. So I guess, the scouts didn't see it the same, and that goes to say something. I'm going to go ahead and take Jaden Daniels here, the guy that I was highest on quarterback of this class, thinking he will be better than Caleb Williams. So I would take a chance on him here. And yeah, I like Daniels.
I got no qualms with that. Braden, any strong opinions about that or strong supports?
I like Daniels. I don't think I like him this much. I would still take Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas.
Just think about this. Would you take Lamar Jackson, knowing what he is now, as a rookie at this spot? No, I'm kidding.
Honestly,
that was my comp, and I said he's a bigger, stronger.
He's not bigger.
Lamar Jackson,
for one.
He's tall. He's taller. Yeah.
We're gonna have a part 1 and a part 2 of this podcast because of these takes, and then also when Xavier Legette gets picked in like a couple picks, we're gonna
say go ahead and take him at 8.
We're gonna be heated. Okay, so here's the deal. I did have Legette actually above Worthy in pre-draft rankings. Landing spot has flipped that for me. I do think Worthy, the more I've been seeing and some of the just being in Kansas City, you can't not take the hype there. And I've been burned a little bit by some Kansas City situations. So I'm going to take Xavier Worthy though. And I just really like the deep threat ability. Think of him as like an MVS with hands, but then also he like runs screens and bubbles and all of that out of the field. And they're so creative with, their offense. So Worthy, I think hot take, he's going to lead the Chiefs in yards this year. In yards.
I don't agree with that, but I think he's going to be good. Have y'all ever been looking for a file on your computer and it's really old, and so you go to sort by date saved or whatever, and you click it twice so it goes to the oldest one? That's what I feel like is
what
happening.
Are we getting at here?
That's what I feel like is happening with the Chiefs playbook. They just hit oldest, and they found all of the old Tyreek plays and they dusted them all off, and they're ready to go again with it.
And that's a great thing for fantasy value.
I agree. I think it's going to be great. I don't know if he's going to lead in yards. I think Kelsey will have one more year.
I was going to say, does that mean over Kelsey?
Though, no, Kelsey will lead in targets. I just think Xavier Worthy is going to have bigger plays down the field, and so I think that I think he breaks 1,000 yards. I know that's crazy, but
I think that Worthy and Hollywood are going to eat each other up. I think that they're both going to have like 680 yards.
It'll be interesting to see how they use Hollywood, just because of some of those levels of routes. If Hollywood kind of takes the top off and then Worthy runs some of those shorter routes, but they're just gonna have so much at their disposal. It is hard to say. Like 1,900, I'd probably say 900 to 1,000 on Worthy, but that's also just some reports that I've been reading. So, Justin, sorry, not Justin, Braden. Tell us who the best pick is.
So there's guys I would rather take right here, but I just need to do the right thing. And so I'm going
Troy Franklin.
Oh my word. So
do it.
Jonathan Brooks was in my mind here. However, I think the right pick is Brian Thomas. Just with the draft capital and the situation and just his ability. I think that he has fallen too far, and I think he's the right pick here.
They did cut Zay Jones this week, so that's shows them what they think they have in Brian Thomas for sure. At least a little bit of testament to that. Also, Zay Jones couldn't stay on the field, but that's another reason. So, Justin, what about the 110?
Yeah, this is where it starts to get tough. There's a lot.
I thought we lost you for a second. Just a little pause there.
Was it that long of a pause? My bad. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could take this. I'm looking at
talk us through some of the ways. Who are you thinking?
Right. So I'm looking at taking a running back, maybe the first running back off the board here. I don't see it with Blake Corum. I didn't see it before the draft, and now he's there with Kyron Williams. So I don't know if there's room for two small but mighty backs there. I feel like they would be used the same way, and you have realized value in Kyron Williams. So it'll take Corum more than just this year to get going. But I guess, you are looking future. Trey Benson, he went to Arizona. He's going to be sitting behind James Conner, but there's really not much competition outside of that. And their profile is different backs, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I'm going to go Jonathan Brooks. All that to say.
Way to talk yourself through that.
Yeah. I talked myself kind of out of those top two, and I'm going to go with Jonathan Brooks. Wow, I didn't even know that the Panthers still had Miles Sanders. I thought he was long gone after how flat on his face he fell. But
for now they have him.
I think there's a path to relevance for Brooks more than might seem on the surface. I think Huff told us over text, he's got a young quarterback who can't do it all right now, so he's going to have to lean on his running game a lot more, and I think they will grow together. So that's who I'm taking there, and I'll stop talking now.
I mean, the Panthers can't get any worse. So, Braden, you started to say that you love that pick.
No, I love the pick. I like Brooks. I mean, I was fortunate enough to watch Brooks play in high school, and the dude had like 60-something touchdowns. He's just insane. So,
wait, how'd that happen?
What happened?
Did he go to high school near your hometown?
He played against Jim Ned in the state championship game, and he ran for like 300 yards and like 4 touchdowns. And the Jim Ned like sent it to overtime. And
shout out to the Jim Ned Indians.
Yeah, Hallettsville scored first and kicked an extra point, and then Jim Ned scored. And instead of kicking an extra point, they knew they couldn't stop Brooks again. And so they just went for 2. And Brooks also played cornerback, and they threw a fade on him, and Brooks totally got burned. And so Jim Ned scored a 2-point conversion in one state. So
they won. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Jim Ned beat.
I thought that was going the other way.
So but Brooks
good
is
old 2A Texas football.
I think they're 3A. Yeah, they're 3A. But Brooks is a great athlete and got to study behind the best at Texas.
Are we worried? Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Thought you were done. Are we worried about the ACL injury?
I'm not. I mean, this year is not going to be stellar, but if Carolina's really concerned about him being on the field in order to win games, I think they're delusional. So I think they just need to let him rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Draft capital for running back 2 is decently high. Where they took him. A lot of people saw him mocked to the middle of the second, end of the second. And he went, beginning of that second round. And so Carolina knew what they wanted. And then, you can't really bet on injury. Injuries are going to happen. Re-injuries are going to happen. But the talent and profile to potentially be an RB2 maybe this year, but then profiling and growing from there. I like that a lot. The next Christian McCaffrey,
The next Jonathan Stewart.
That's
I don't
bold.
know.
Oh gosh, he needs some Miles Sanders and Jonathan Brooks are the Jonathan Stewart D'Angelo Hall combo.
D'Angelo Williams, not D'Angelo Hall.
D'Angelo Hall.
R.I.P. I don't even know what I'm saying now.
You're
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, who are you picking?
With Redskins secondary players. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Justin. You're gonna love this pick so much. I said this so I'm looking at a couple players here. Adonai Mitchell's in consideration just because of his upside. I'm looking at Lad McConkey, and then I'm looking at Leggett. And really, for me, it comes down to Leggett and McConkey. I know that Braden disagrees strongly. I think I made you both mad with either of those picks, so that's a really good pick. I am gonna go with McConkey because, again, of landing spot. I think that Carolina invested a lot in their. They got Jatavian Sanders, they got Jonathan Brooks, they've got Deontay Johnson. They've got a lot of new weapons there, so it's gonna take a little bit longer for Leggett to break through. So I'm gonna go with the guy that I think from day one can step in and just be a target monster with Justin Herbert. They revamped the line, and so getting McConkey at the end of the first round to potentially be a wide receiver 2, if not high end wide receiver 2, I'm all about it by end of the year.
I like that pick. I like McConkey.
A first round pick on a guy that never broke out in college. Interesting.
He was hurt most of the last year, and when he was there, he was pretty electric. And
what's his excuse the year before?
Route running has been proven in the NFL.
Yeah, so breakout, there's a little you have to hit like 20% dominator rating, and he hit like 19.9. So it's good enough for me. I'll take him with Justin Herbert. So I don't mind.
I don't know. It's Quentin Johnson season. That's all I'm saying.
Yikes. For me, this next pick is probably going to be. I'm gonna go with Trey Benson here, and he was my RB2 in the class pre-draft. Trey Benson he sits behind James Conner, and James Conner is hitting that age threshold that is already questionable. And Conner, although last year didn't struggle with injury, he has before. And so I just wouldn't be surprised to see Benson take off this year and get a decent amount of work.
I like that.
Trey Benson at the end of the first. So 2 running backs to go. Yeah, I think those are my top 2 running backs after the draft for sure. Justin, you were saying you like that. Do you have anything else to add? And then you can kick us off with the second round.
Nope. Only other running back I'd take is Braylon Allen.
Which
over
at that
Trey
point,
Benson?
No, I'll stop memeing about that. I would take Trey Benson there. That was a good pick.
I mean, just to clarify, your Braylon Allen take though is like career long. Like when we look at it 2-3 years down the road. You're not saying this year.
No, especially not now that he's behind Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, back to me starting the second round. I feel comfortable taking AD Mitchell at this point. He fell in the draft, but I think his upside is still super high. At times it'll be pretty volatile, but I think that he profiles well to have a good first year in Indianapolis, not Indiana. Yeah, I saw you perk up at that.
I mean, Indiana
Go Hoosiers
also is true, but
yes. But we're not talking college basketball here. Oh yeah, you put it on the board. Nice. AD Mitchell. What do y'all think?
I like it at the second round to get a, future wide receiver there, getting to Michael Pittman taking up part of the field, and getting a young quarterback with Anthony Richardson to, create that chemistry. I really like it. Braden, do you agree?
I don't mind it. There's other guys I like on the board more. I think that there's going to be harder path for AD Mitchell to really take a leap with Pittman and Downs, and Anthony Richardson running the ball, and Jonathan Taylor being so relevant. But I do believe in his talent, so I hope he would break out. That'd be fun. But I think that there's other guys here that may be in a better situation that could outperform him.
Like this next pick in Xavier Legette. So Carolina's bona fide number one wide receiver. I just don't know. Like Field Yates is that's a little bit of a stretch, but wide receiver 2 for sure. Like think about the ways they wanted to use Laviska Shenault and even sometimes did, and then think of the way like give him with a new head coach, and you've got to think Dave Canales gonna scheme it better, and they're just all young talent, and they're gonna use it. And I think that Legette is going to be. I mean, they traded up into the first round so they could get a 5th-year option on the guys so they could save money long term. So I think that Legette's a steal at this point. I think he's worthy of going in the first round of a rookie draft. So I really like Legette, and I'm ready to be wrong NFL on him.
Capital.
Yeah, so bring him up. So Braden, I know we don't have time to go into all of the depths of our conversations that we've had over the past couple of days about this, but hit me with your biggest critique, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong, and then we'll move on.
Well, he had like less than 500 yards total for 4 years of college with no competition in the wide receiver room, and then 1 year he just goes bananas. And I wanted to be wrong about him. Like that Thursday night after he was drafted, I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch the highlights of him. And so I found a bunch of highlights of him on Twitter, and it's, like a 2-minute long video of different plays he's done. And I watched him like, I'm going to watch this again, and I'm going to notice who they're playing. And like the entire highlights was like Jacksonville State and like Furman and Vanderbilt. And I'm like, oh, no reason.
Commodores.
I'm like, no wonder why he's just absolutely torching these guys, because he's 23 years old and he's beating up on FCS schools. Like, so here's the thing, like the way he plays is super fun. Like watching him in those highlights, whether it's an FCS school or not, it was fun to watch. So I hope that, it would be cool to see that type of player just be great in the NFL. But I just think that like one of these things is not like the other. Like what happened that last year for him to just go bananas? And so I'm not willing to bet on him in a bad situation as it is. Like I'm just struggling with that personally.
Hey, there were some FCS players drafted in this year's draft. South Dakota State, Houston Christian.
Yeah, Jalix Hunt,
FCS talent.
Jalix Hunt was like the 3rd defensive end off the board, man.
Great, you can take him with your next pick.
Defensive end.
We're doing defensive players now. Hey, we can just for podcast maintenance. Let's do the second round, and then we'll just talk about a few picks that we consider in the 3rd round, just for time's sake. And we always do a part 2 if we wanted to. But sorry, Braden, go ahead. The only thing on Legette that I would say is, man, draft capital, his measurables at the combine, all new coaching staff, the opportunity there is so wide open. Like there's no bona fide. Yeah, Deontay Johnson, right? He's gonna be the wide receiver 1, but there's so much room, I think, for Legette to make a name for himself. And there's a reason everybody's talking about him. So there's just so much potential. Could fall flat, but it won't happen. So that's my thoughts. But Braden, your points are valid. I give you that. Agree to disagree.
Thanks, man. For my pick, I'm gonna go with Ricky Pearsall. And this is a guy who he has kind of a muddy way to become relevant, but for the 49ers to spend a 1st-round draft pick on a wide receiver, I just think they know something that we don't. And so I wouldn't be shocked to see Debo or Ayuk gone, even though it didn't happen during the NFL draft. But I believe in the organization, and he looked great. He was able to get open, and that's going to be the type of player that Brock Purdy needs. So, and it's a 1st-round wide receiver. So I'm interested in that. And he has a profile that he was relevant and producing all throughout college at a really high level with other SEC talent. So that was my pick.
Catch of the year, if you haven't gone and seen it from last college football season, Ricky Pearsall, if not the catch of the year, one of the top 3. Justin, who you going with at the 204?
Yeah, so I'm between 2 guys right now. Troy Franklin going to play with his college teammate and Bo Nix, which it took some back and forth in text to figure that out between you and me. I thought he went to the Patriots, but he landed with the Broncos. So there's the connection there. And then speaking of the Patriots, Jalen Polk. Did they take any other wide receiver in the draft?
They took Javon Baker.
Javon Baker.
Late.
Okay, that kind of muddies the waters a little bit.
And
So
I
I'll
like
just stick
Javon
with
Baker a lot.
Yeah, well, I'll leave him for you. I'll still go with Troy Franklin here.
Okay.
Interesting.
A lot of people, I will say, a lot of
world's most interesting man right here.
We are the average pros. We'll just put it out there. We like to give you above average intel.
Why
at least try
say
to.
that on my pick?
Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I am the averagest of them all by far. Just go back and look at all our takes. But the reason that I say that is because a lot of the fantasy community has Troy Franklin higher. I mean, even on sleeper ranking, he was way up there, and PFF has had him pretty high. So again, from a measurables and a profile, there's some potential there. I don't know. For me, the landing spot isn't ideal, but there weren't a lot of ideal landing spots that late in the draft.
Yeah,
and they did trade up for
Marvin
him, so.
Mims is really going to beat him out of a spot.
Probably not. Okay. Well, I've made you guys enough mad, so I think I'm gonna try and stay on point here. But I am kind of looking at quarterback a little bit with Drake May and JJ McCarthy in there, but not ready to reach for that yet. The pick I'm gonna go ahead and make though is I'm gonna go ahead and take Tez Walker. Just with what the Ravens have been doing and the way that Lamar has grown as a passer. Obviously let Hollywood walk. They've got some young talents there in Zay Flowers and they just re-signed Rashad Bateman, but it wasn't a lucrative deal. And I think with his body and his profile, he could be a deep threat as well as kind of a jump ball guy. And so didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year because of some of the suspension stuff, and he just really didn't get his feet under him. So I think he dropped a little bit because of that. But I like the landing spot there, and I'm gonna run with Tez.
I don't mind it.
I don't hate it.
I don't mind it. I think there is better value. As I do this process, I think I realize that I value draft capital in the NFL draft a lot. I think that says a lot.
Except when it's Xavier Legette.
I mean, I took Ricky Pearsall over him.
You did.
The same way the 49ers did. So, so I care a lot about draft capital in the NFL. Saying that, I am in between Drake May and JJ McCarthy. And it's just, do I think Drake May is a better quarterback? Yes. However, it's really, really hard not to take the quarterback that is paired with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. So I'm just gonna go with him right here.
I didn't know if you could see me or not. What I was doing in the background.
I could see you.
And if that shows up on the video recording,
I don't think it will because Braden was talking. What'd you do? I didn't see it.
Nothing.
Maybe we'll talk about it afterwards.
Just kind of went a little spring break action. So didn't cross the line.
And we're moving on.
We'll tell you about it when you're older.
Justin.
Right.
JJ McCarthy, yes, to the moon. Top fantasy quarterback this year from the rookies.
Caleb Williams will be, but that's okay.
Jaden Daniels. Man, we're real split there.
Oh my word. Justin, go.
I feel like I can't not take Drake May at this point. You know what I noticed the other day?
What did you notice, Justin?
The New England Patriots are doing exactly what the Texans. Why could I not think of that? What the Texans did. They hired their old linebacker as their coach. They're rebuilding with a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's got to work. Drake May to the moon. Second best behind Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
No, I'm not actually making that take. I do think Caleb Williams. Okay, Caleb Williams is set up. If he fails, it's all on him. If he busts, he is a true bust. He's surrounded by so many weapons.
I was kind of, Justin, when you were talking about it before on Caleb Williams, just like his surroundings, his mentalities, interviews and stuff, I was like, whatever, his talent. I am a little bit nervous about him getting to the NFL, him getting a lot of money. I know he's had an NIL, but I wonder. So we'll see, though. Yeah. I'll probably be wrong. So I'm going to go, man, I'm really want to go Jalen Polk. The Javon Baker, though, pick, like, I think they're going to be neck and neck, and I'm not ready to reach for Javon Baker yet, just because I think he'll be there later from a draft perspective. So I'm going to go here with, really, this is a huge upside pick, and just with the way that Miami likes their running backs, I'm going to go with Jalen Wright. I know that's kind of feels out of left field, but and it probably is, but just his speed, his profile, obviously Devon Achane's there, and Mostert's still there, but both guys that have missed time because of injury, and we know with the Dolphins, like if you get a crease, they love speed, they love big plays, and I think Jalen Wright fits into that mold there. So that's where I'm going to go with that.
I don't mind it.
There were better people on the board, I know, right? There always are.
No, I don't mind. You know, Jalen Wright could be like the Mostert replacement, or we just aren't even going to remember him in 2 years. And I don't know if there's like any in between with Jalen Wright, but I mean, they know how to run an offense there, and so I think you have to be excited about the opportunity for that. For me, this is a place that I'm looking at who's left, and I don't love anyone.
The only thing I love is that Blake Corum's still there.
Blake Corum's still there.
In the fact that he hasn't been picked, not because I want him.
Here's the thing: I don't mind Blake Corum. I'm picking rookies based on can they be like a RB1 or a wide receiver 1, and I just don't think he ever can be. I'm going to take another running back here that I think does have a chance to be after this year. I think he's positioned in a great place to be a good handcuff and get some touches this year, and he's with a great franchise that knows how to utilize their players. So I'm going to take Marshawn Lloyd here.
Dang, that was who I was going to take. That's a good one.
So Josh Jacobs is essentially on a 1-year deal. They can cut him at the end of the season and not lose any money. And so it wouldn't shock me if, to save money, they use their 3rd round running back that they just drafted this year, Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah. As a Packers fan, I loved that pick in the actual draft. I think he and Jacobs, even this year, can be a good 1-2 punch. And then, yeah, like you said, the uncertainty of Jacobs' future. And then you got AJ Dillon, who just has not amounted to much fantasy-wise. So I think Marshawn Lloyd can assume a role there for sure.
I was going to say AJ Dillon just dead to rights.
Yeah. Well,
it's tough.
When you got tanks as thighs and still can't get 2 yards, it doesn't bode well for you.
It's fair. Justin, who you got?
Oh, it's me. Shoot.
There's only 3 of
us. Goes quick when you're picking every 3 picks.
Yeah.
Man.
I will say, well, Justin's
looking
at that at this point in the draft, I mean, you're really looking at guys that are, going to have to earn a spot. No one's really in a situation at this point where they're just like walking into touches or walking into opportunity. So really taking guys that you believe in, and this is really starting where in the rookie draft, you're kind of taking flyers. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are guys that are probably going undrafted on some levels in the end of redraft. So just kind of give you context of, what you're looking at. If somebody's really got a guy and you could take advantage of trading back and maybe getting some proven talent, it's something to look at in a rookie draft. So just kind of a draft tips, thoughts from me. Justin, if you don't take Braylon Allen here, then, it's just all for naught because now he's the 5th one off the board.
You know,
Stand by your guns.
yeah, I guess I have to. But the other one I was looking at was Roman Wilson. I think he's got an open door to relevance. I mean, the only other guy besides George Pickens. Oh, you put Braylon Allen on the board. I'll stop talking. Y'all can talk about Roman Wilson when you take him.
No. Talk about. I mean, I'm not taking Roman
No,
Wilson.
I was just gonna say the only other guy behind George Pickens that really has had relevance in the past, and it's very small relevance, is Calvin Austin, and he's the same receiver practically as Roman Wilson. So I think Roman Wilson has a chance in that Pittsburgh offense this year.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
The same way that the second wide receiver for the Falcons had a chance in Arthur Smith's offense last year. So,
oh, that's right. Arthur
Smith is in.
Yep. Olamide Zacchaeus, baby.
All right, stay away from anybody wearing.
He was a wee little man, and he had a wee little amount of yards. Oh man, I make myself laugh. All right, I'm gonna keep it quick here. I'm gonna go with. I'm looking at Jatavian Sanders here. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that he's the second best tight end in this draft. I don't know where you would draft Luke Sinnott or Jaheim Bell. Maybe you take a look at Ben Sinnott. Sorry, I was looking at Luke McCaffrey for some reason. And I also like the opportunity there from a tight end. There's not really a proven tight end. Do they still have Ian Thomas? Is he still on their roster? I know they still. I guess I can just look at it, but
they have anyway. Tommy Tremble, that's right.
And then yeah, exactly my point. Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas is still on there. Yeah, there's just no proven tight end there. So the way that the NFL is using tight end, I would strongly look at. You know what? I'm gonna take Jatavian Sanders. I'm gonna go for it. Just like I said, Flyers here. So there you go. I got it. I was also looking at Jalen Polk.
I am going to take the guy that I have been beating the drum on since he was drafted on Friday night, and that is going to be Jermaine Burton.
Good pick.
My take with him is, at absolute worst, he fills immediately into the Tyler Boyd role. And at best, he's going to be the wide receiver 2 for Joe Burrow if Higgins gets traded. So between if Higgins is gone and Boyd's gone and Mixon's gone, there's a huge amount of targets that are just going to be opened up. And so I'm excited for that opportunity.
Yeah, when you put that, I really liked that as we were talking about that in the text thread. And so there'll be some content coming out on our Instagram in the next couple of days, kind of talking about some of the draft picks we liked and why. So keep an eye out for that. But that was Braden's spoiler alert, and I like it. So Justin, rather than us going through this whole third round here, because we're really kind of starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, what are some guys that maybe you're thinking about here? There's still some big name guys just for listeners. You got Blake Corum, Jalen Polk, Roman Wilson are all still there. Brendan Rice maybe is interesting. Jalen McMillan, Penix and Nix are still there. Javon Baker, Johnny Wilson, just some popular names there. But any of those guys or any other guys that you're just thinking about now in the third round, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, if we get to the third round and Corum's still there, I feel like you got to take him. I already said how I feel about Roman Wilson. The other guy that I was kind of high on pre-draft and we'll just stick with him is Audric Estime. I think I ranked him a lot higher than y'all did. I think that he could. I mean, Javonte Williams is their RB1, but I think that he could be a close yardage, used a lot in close yardage, goal line situations. So I think he could find the end zone a few times his rookie season, and then, maybe down the road have more relevance. So those are my 3 in the third round: Blake Corum, Roman Wilson, and Audric Estime.
Yeah, Estime is interesting. I mean, I think they put a lot of capital into their backfield, and Javonte Williams hopefully staying healthy. But that's Roman Wilson just jumped on the board. Braden, was that intentional?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm putting his guys underneath.
Gotcha. His. Okay, cool.
Oh,
yeah. Nice. Okay, so then I'll put a couple here. I would probably go Jalen Polk at this point, just with where his draft capital is and who he was. Drake May is going to have. There's no real bona fide wide receiver there in New England. Sure as heck in Tyquan Thornton. So I like Jalen Polk and what he's looking at. also think Will Shipley has some opportunity there in probably the latter end of the third round, just being with Philly. Boston Scott just signed with the Chargers today. And so, you've got Saquon, but after that, there's some opportunity there. And then the last guy that I'd put here, I am gonna say Javon Baker. I know he kind of got mentioned earlier, but he's been getting a lot of hype as the end of draft season has come and just some of the plays that he made while at UCF. So definitely think that he's a potential sleeper from this draft.
I like the Javon Baker pick. I'm not going to be shocked at all if he has a better career than Polk. Baker started at Alabama, and so he was that caliber level of an athlete, and so I don't mind that one bit. Some guys that I like in this range, I really like Bucky Irving. Baker is going to throw the ball a lot out of the backfield, and a lot of Rachaad White's points came from that, and so I think Bucky Irving is going to immediately be relevant. Another guy I really do like Ben Sinnott. I think the draft capital is for sure there, and it's something we have to pay attention to. And it's a new electric offense and with Kingsbury running it. So I'm excited for that opportunity.
Anytime somebody gets halfback put next to him and they're not Taysom Hill, I just render them irrelevant. But I probably should look more into that. Sorry.
I didn't realize Sinnott went 53rd overall.
Yeah, man. He went super.
Is that before early. Jatavion Sanders?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well before.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure it was the Commanders' second pick.
Dang.
Yeah.
So
they got their guy. They like.
It says a lot with a new coaching staff and a new offense and a new quarterback.
Or he could just be Pat Ricard.
He could. So where I'm at, Malachi Corley, I don't love him just because Rodgers has never done well with young wide receivers. He just for some reason doesn't love them. Ray Davis to the Bills is interesting just because he could be a good 1-2 punch with James Cook. The guy that I probably am interested in is Tyrone Tracy. He went to the Giants. He went pretty late, and so he would be like a round 4 guy to me at this point. But all he has to beat out is Devin Singletary to be the top back in New York, and so that's a little bit interesting to me going into the offseason and seeing how training camp shapes up and all that.
Yeah, where is Tyrone Tracy? I cannot find him in this thing.
Sleeper's ADP is all weird. Post draft it doesn't shape up, but PFF has him as the RB11.
Oh, okay.
The 37th best rookie overall.
Rasheem Ali, I just was scrolling too. Kind of interesting going to the Ravens there, just because of J.K. Dobbins gone, Henry's gone, so. Just kind of, Henry's there. Sorry, but Dobbins is gone.
But Theo Johnson's interesting with the Giants with all these rumors about Waller retiring. That could be interesting.
I also was, Jaheim Bell was a steal at the end of the 6th round, just based on his athletic profile, and then also I was looking at Jared Wiley, Texas guy going to KC. I know they just re-signed Kelsey, but they kind of profiles as maybe his replacement in some ways.
It seems like Noah Gray isn't the guy, and there's going to be a tight end that's relevant. So I don't mind shooting a shot with Jared Wiley. The last thing I'll say, and this is a super hot take, I can't remember if we agreed on this or not. No, we didn't. We disagreed on this because we disagree on everything. But I'm just going to say
makes for a good podcast.
I'm not going to be shocked if Spencer Rattler takes over in New Orleans sooner rather than later. Just going to say it.
Again, if they'll have a terrible season, then I think so. But the NFC South is just such garbage. You feel like even at 4-7, you're in the playoff hunt. So it's like, when do you put in a rookie and I guess just let him sling it? Probably about that point.
But he made Xavier Legette look good, so he's got to be pretty talented.
I'll take the wide receiver. You take the quarterback. So, Jesse, you got anything else to add to this?
So Crow, would you take at this point in the draft, would you take Rattler before you take Penix or Nix? Obviously, Penix is a long play.
No, I would take Penix or Nix over Rattler at this point. But to be honest, I think Penix will be successful whenever he can see the field. Yeah. I am concerned about Nix. You know, I like Sean Payton and I want to believe in him, but I really believe that if Sean Payton's wrong about Bo Nix, Sean Payton is not going to stay in Denver long. Like, he's going to be run out of town.
Well, I mean, you got to factor in too, he's going to be competing for a job against Zach Wilson. So, like, you know, it's a tough path. It really is.
They just
Nix is going to put up numbers quicker than Penix, but longevity probably favors Penix.
Yeah, the thing that's hard with the Broncos is they just haven't had draft capital the last 3 or 4 years because of the Russell Wilson stuff and getting Sean Payton. And so it's an uphill battle for sure. I really think that, you know, Rattler fell farther than he should, and we can't act like Carr is going to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think that they could be fed up pretty quick, especially if their jobs are riding on it. Yeah.
The Penix thing is interesting just because of the draft capital, right? You always got to be like,
oh, for sure.
Well, people are going to reach all the time. That, you know, 42% of the quarterbacks, you know, pan out. I think was the first round quarterbacks. Maybe it is, but some statistic that I saw during the draft. So not everybody's going to work out, but you know, if you look at Cousins, even if he's healthy, they play a good 2 years, and then you trade him or you know you cut him because his contract, if I'm not mistaken, kind of starts to change at it's more guaranteed and front end heavy. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that the Falcons could play that. So something to watch, something to monitor for sure. So, and Penix could be one of those guys that somebody just takes so early in the draft, in the rookie draft, just because it's like, oh, he was number 8 overall, he's going to play over Cousins. That's not going to happen unless Cousins
he went in the first round. He went in the first round of a rookie drafted this weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely a reach. Unless it's super flex. I don't know. When you're talking super flex, who knows?
Hey, but just because you mentioned Jaheim Bell, if you are tight end needy at this point and the obvious 2 are off the board and Senate, don't forget about Cade Stover, reunited with CJ Stroud. He's an athlete. He's a farmer boy, but he's an athlete. He's got hands.
Anybody catch a pass from CJ Stroud is a potential person, just the way that he potential fantasy asset for sure. So,
did you say all right, potential person?
I said potential person, and then I changed it to fantasy asset.
Everybody is a potential.
They're potential. They become human whenever they play with him.
I love it.
It's late.
All right,
guys. I'll get us out on that. So thanks so much for listening. If you haven't liked or subscribed to the podcast, you know the routine by this point. So follow us on the socials at Average Pros FF, and that's going to do it for us. So until next time, we are the Average Pros. See ya.
Your time is valuable, and we thank you for sharing a little of it with the Average Pros. For more clear, concise, and competitive analysis, be sure to follow us on X and Instagram at AverageProsFF. That's at AverageProsFF. Production by Jonathan Rates. Editing by Justin Rates. Voiceover by Ben Johnson. Music by Josh Lippy and the Overtimers. We'll catch you at the next one.